If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report and then check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. You go to www.dynamicsolutions2, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com. If you like today's show, you can check out our members section at OppermanReport.com. And we have over 250 shows and exclusive content that you won't be able to find anywhere else on the internet or AM/FM radio. Also, too, if you want to check out our archives, almost every show we've ever done is in our archives at Spreaker.com. And there's about 200 or 300 shows more there than you'll ever find on YouTube, because YouTube has deleted a whole bunch of content and destroyed a bunch of our shows. So if you want to get the full archives, it's at Spreaker.com. It's free. You go there for free, sign up for free, you follow the show for free, you get an email notification anytime we do some new content. There's a chat room, you can leave comments. Spreaker.com. Okay, fascinating show today. A long-time listener who I've known on the internet for several years now has this fascinating life story where she hasn't quite put all the pieces together, but she believes she's been part of some kind of a controlled. There's some kind of overwhelming forces in her life that are passing her through here. Dosed with LSD at a high school, and all kind of fascinating stuff like that. Her name is Ellen. Ellen, are you there?
I am.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. But tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you want to stay anonymous, but just give us a little bit idea of what you're like and what you want the audience to know about you.
Well, Ed, I've always, I'm kind of a dumb blonde, and I, move through life, and I'm always finding myself into these jackpots, and I don't really know how I get there, and I move on, and I see all kinds of crazy things that I don't really understand what I'm looking at. So all my life, I would see things that I didn't have the insight to sort out, and I would plant a little red flag in there for later when I grew some wisdom. Well, I'm 60 now, and I just started having. Well, I'm writing a little memoir, and as I review my life, all of a sudden the red flags look very red and really big to me. I see myself as a kind of Mr. Magoo and Forrest Gump. I was always where crazy things were happening, but I never really understood them, and then I moved on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I had started writing about my very early years, and how it started was I was laying in bed one night, and usually I listen to your show, but I had something else on maybe a Sunday night, like a Dateline or something, and I was listening to I love the JFK stuff, all the conspiracy, and everybody talks about how when Lee Harvey Oswald goes to Mexico City, maybe it was him, maybe it wasn't, and he stayed at La Casa de los Amigos. And I sat up in bed and I said, oh my goodness, I stayed at because that's where our school, the private school I went to, took us on a trip to Mexico, and we stayed there, and I started thinking about the private school I went to and what maybe it might have been, and it started to look, I have to tell you, Ed, that I had a really wonderful time there, and I never felt, offended physically or mentally in any way. I really felt like I was being saved by them, but now that I've had it, I'm curious.
Well, let's start with this. How was it that you found yourself in that school? What made your parents pick that school to send you to?
Well, it's a dumb kind of convoluted story, but when I went to high school, or even junior high, I was sort of a restless kid anyway, and now I sort of think that maybe there was a purpose to that.
Mm.
Maybe that was manufactured to make me a restless kid. And so in junior high, this young woman, nobody really paid a lot of attention to any of us. We were just kids. Nobody got singled out. And all of a sudden, this teacher singled me out, and she started taking me home with her on weekends. And, we were partying. And in the meantime, there was this drop-in center that she was a counselor at. I don't know. They were all over the 70s. And, you could call there and say, maybe I took too many drugs, or maybe I'd like to get off drugs, or maybe I'm homeless, or, maybe I want to kill myself. It was just sort of this weird call-in center that people either went to or they would hang out at. And this particular center came to our junior high school to tell us all to stay off drugs and show us their heroin tracks and tell us that there was better ways to live. And one of the guys took my buddy home on weekends and smoked pot with him. And this woman, Jean, took me home with her on weekends, and sometimes she would leave me up at a man's house. And I don't need to go into any details how that would work out.
Well, let me ask you this.
But,
were your parents aware of this, that this teacher was taking you to go smoke pot and drink alcohol?
Well, no. They thought it was the best thing in the world. Teacher, I must have been the smartest, most interesting student in there that they would take such interest in me.
And
I was sort of lackluster before.
You figured you're about 12, 13 years old?
I was 13, yeah. So she was only there a year, and she left. And I, went through life, got to high school, and then I was very restless. I was really having a hard time at home.
Well, let me stop you there for a second.
With my family.
Let me stop you there for a second. Now, this teacher, was she trying to have sex with you? The woman teacher?
No. She was a counselor at that crazy drop-in center, and she was also my teacher. She took me to the drop-in center. Sometimes they would trade drugs there, can you get me any speed? And And it's just, and I was watching it. I'm thinking, I guess they only talk to people that, they're helping people that can't handle the shoes. I didn't understand where I was at. I didn't know what this thing was.
But occasionally,
it was like a little front room.
Right. Occasionally, she would arrange for you to sleep overnight with men.
Well, it would be kind of like this. We'd be all at a party at her apartment. She lived in one of those single apartment houses back in the 70s. It was so big. And so we'd be all at a party at her place, and then maybe the party would move up to some other guy's place, and then little by little the place would empty out. Maybe just me and the guy.
Right.
And I was 13, and by that time I was sort of groomed to behave that way. The whole town that I came from abused so many children sexually that it was not abnormal to me to find myself alone with a man that wanted to have sex with me. And I didn't think anything of it other than, he likes me.
Right. Yeah, things were definitely different back in those days. I'm the same age as you. I'm 57.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Now, do you think she was being compensated for this, or was just sort of just loosey-goosey?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I do. I didn't then, and even up until about this last year, I didn't really, because the next stage, the thing that got really crazy for me. So the next year I'm in high school, and this really big, giant, tall, bald guy, I'm walking down the hall, and he's, with all the other kids, and the only thing people know about me is that I'm kind of a troublemaker. And he goes, "Hi, sunshine," and he just kept saying it to me and grabbing me out of the hall. And next thing I know, I'm in his office, and I'm hanging out with him and 12 other kids that I had sort of gone through school with. We were all in the same kind of pot-smoking, run around, get into trouble kind of crowd. Not criminal, but still, my family would prefer that I wasn't who I was. And so I didn't think anything of him, but he did some odd things. And for instance, he took me to Planned Parenthood at age 14, me out of my mother's house and had me live with another family for about 6 weeks. And what I did not know is that another classmate of mine, who was in the same crowd, but we never spoke because we were sort of intimidated by each other, he was living in the same town. This guy had taken him out of the town too, only he had him in a different high school. So my guidance counselor had me living in one town, his town, and then bringing me to school every morning. And he took me out I remember we were at Planned Parenthood almost all night trying to get me birth control.
Now, this was middle school or high school?
High school.
High school. And this is that private school you're telling us about, right?
No, I didn't go to the private school.
Okay.
This is what was so bizarre. So 12 of us were sent away from our high school. We were all done with acid one day. The whole school practically was. And all of us, nobody really, it took me years and years and years to understand what that was. I knew everyone was tripping, but I thought that it was just somebody had gotten held of some acid and we all took it. But at one point, I was in the bathroom. I was really having a bad trip because I was only 14, and it turned out I took a double dose, but I actually did not know for 40 years. So I come out of the bathroom because all the toilets started flushing all at once, which sounds like here's my hallucinating, but it just was this weird thing that happened. And as I walked out, there was a man in a white jacket and the school nurse and the principal standing there with a clipboard watching us and writing stuff down. And I remember I walked into the study hall where it was the cafeteria. I don't know, 400 or 500 kids in there. And they were all tripping. Mm. And I walked up to one guy and said something to him about, I think they're trying to get us in the same room because I was 14 and I was scared. And he said, me too. So I took off and I go down the hall and this math teacher who was like a grade above me and I'm not good at math, he pulls me into the classroom, sits me down in an empty classroom, gives me a philosophy lecture for an hour, bell rings and he dismisses me and I go loping. So it's 40 years goes by, and I finally figure out that the whole school was dosed. And I asked the guy that I finally realized was the one that probably made it. And I said, who told you how to make that? Because he was 14 too. He made LSD at age 14. He was a school genius. He said he was in the bathroom counting his money and looking at all his hits of acid to see what he had. And the principal walked in and told him to put it away. Walked back out. He tells me this 40 years later, and so I said, who told you? He said, that exchange student that came to us. The exchange student was from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Have you ever heard of somebody? What kind of culture is he bringing to us that we all need to know about? Exchange students are usually from Korea and, Brazil, but we